I want to preface this by saying, this isn't a ghost story. There are no monsters under the bed, no doors slamming shut by themselves. But it is a horror story, and it's real, or at least as real as my memory allows. It happened during my senior year of high school at East Valley High, a public school that tried its best to feel safe. Blue hallways, motivational posters, that weird smell of burnt pizza and bleach. You know the kind. We had metal detectors, 2 school cops, and cameras in every hallway. But none of that mattered, because it wasn't a stranger that did it. It was a teacher. Her name was Ms. Kern. She taught AP English and had been at the school for years. The kind of teacher who called her students young scholars and had us write in journals every morning. Most kids thought she was weird, but harmless. She was in her late 30s, quiet, and wore long skirts and cardigans even in the summer. At first, it was small things. A girl in our class, Amanda, started sitting in the back. She used to be loud, confident, but she got smaller. Not physically, just muted. One day, she came into class with sleeves pulled over her hands and wouldn't look at anyone. I remember Ms. Kern touching her shoulder as she passed and saying, "Everything will be okay. Don't worry." Amanda flinched. That should have been the first red flag. Then there was the journal assignment. She told us to write something deeply personal, something you've never told anyone. She said it was for a trust exercise. I remember thinking it was weird, but everyone did it. I wrote about my insomnia. Others wrote about depression, their parents' divorce, stuff like that. A week later, Tyler, this quiet kid who never talked, was called into her room during lunch. He didn't come back for 40 minutes. When he did, he looked shaken. I asked him what happened, and he said, "She told me she knows how I feel, that she reads my journal at home. She said my pain was beautiful." What the hell was that supposed to mean? Things escalated fast after that. Amanda stopped coming to school entirely. We were told she transferred. Then Tyler stopped talking altogether, like full-on mute in class. His mom apparently filed a complaint, but nothing came of it. That's when I decided to look into it myself. I stayed after school one day, pretending to help with a student council thing. Around 4:30 p.m., I snuck down to room 209, Ms. Kern's room. It was locked, but I saw a light under the door. I waited. At exactly 5 p.m., she came out holding a cardboard box. I ducked behind a locker column. She walked down the hall and out the back exit, the box tucked tight to her chest like it was fragile. I picked the lock with a bobby pin, something I learned from YouTube. Inside, the room felt wrong. Not in a spooky way. Just off. Her desk drawers were locked, but her filing cabinet wasn't. Inside were copies of our journals. All of them. With notes in red ink. Underlines. Comments like "use this," "dig deeper," "potential here." Then I found the folder labeled Amanda. I won't say everything I saw, because I don't want to repeat it. But Ms. Kern had printed photos from Amanda's social media. Screenshots of messages. A copy of a handwritten note that looked like a suicide letter. Except Amanda wasn't dead. She was in hiding. I showed what I found to the vice principal, who passed it off as exaggerated concern. Said Ms. Kern was a dedicated educator. I knew then nothing was going to happen. She was too careful, too smart, too good at hiding in plain sight. So I did something I still don't know if I regret. I stole the folder. I sent scans of everything to Amanda. She responded from a burner email and just wrote, "Thank you. You don't know what this means." A week later, Ms. Kern didn't show up for work. They said she left for personal reasons. They didn't say she was under investigation. They didn't mention the state child services complaint. They certainly didn't admit that a teacher had been emotionally manipulating students, collecting their trauma like trophies. They just erased her. I graduated that year and left town. The school carried on like nothing happened. Room 209 got a fresh coat of paint and a new teacher. No one talks about her. If you ask the staff, they'll smile and say they don't remember who taught English that year. But I do. I still think about what she said in class, over and over. Pain is a story we carry inside. And if you give it to someone who understands, it can be beautiful. That wasn't teaching. That was grooming. That was predation disguised as poetry. And that was real. They say high school is where you find yourself. That it's where you figure out who you are, what you love, who you want to become. But for me, it's where everything started to rot. And it all began in the art room. I transferred schools in 10th grade. My dad got a new job, and we moved from a decent suburb to this hollow, gray town in western Pennsylvania, former coal country. The kind of place with one grocery store, 2 churches, and a school that smelled like mop water and cafeteria beef every day of the week. I didn't talk much. Didn't fit in. Mostly kept to myself. That made me a perfect target for pity, curiosity, or worse. That's probably why Ms. Lang noticed me. She taught art too, and she was different. Young, maybe late 20s, but already weathered like someone who'd seen too much. Always wore paint-stained jeans and a loose bun. Everyone liked her. She joked with the football guys, encouraged the weird goth kids, gave out compliments like Halloween candy. She noticed the sketchbook I carried in my backpack and asked to see it. I hesitated. She smiled. "I won't judge," she said. "That's the one rule here. This room's safe." That word, safe, made something in me unclench. I stayed after class that day, and the next, and the next. Soon I was spending every free period in room 313, the art room. She'd let me work on side projects, gave me coffee from her thermos, shared stories about how no one really understood her in high school either. She told me I had a real eye for darkness. Said that wasn't a bad thing. Said it meant I could see what others were too afraid to admit. It felt like she got me, like I mattered. That's how it starts, isn't it? One day, she asked if I'd help her after school with organizing supplies. We stayed late. She played music, low, moody stuff. She opened a bottle of wine. I remember freezing up, and she laughed. "Relax," she said. "It's just us. You're mature enough." She didn't touch me. Not that night. Not the next. But she started telling me things, real things. About how she had a breakdown in college. About her abusive ex. About how the school administration didn't respect her genius. She cried once. I didn't know what to do, so I hugged her. After that, something changed. She started giving me special projects. Told me not to show them to the rest of the class. They wouldn't understand, she said. They're not like you and me. The projects were darker. Drawings of people's faces melting into voids. Sketches of screaming mouths with no eyes. She called it emotional excavation. It felt good to be trusted. But it also felt wrong. Then came the photos. She said she needed reference images. Asked me to pose. Shirt off, then eventually in just boxers. She framed it as artistic. You have a unique body, angular, expressive. Like Egon Schiele, she said. I didn't even know who that was. But I agreed. Because saying no felt like losing the one person who saw me. It all came crashing down in February. A girl named Maddie, quiet, sweet, total overachiever, was called into the office one morning. She never came back. By lunch, the whispers started. Ms. Lang's in trouble. Someone reported her. It's about photos. I couldn't breathe. I went to the art room. It was locked. Windows dark. Ms. Lang was gone. Later, I found out Maddie had told the counselor everything. Ms. Lang had crossed lines with her too. Private texts. Inappropriate questions. Emotional manipulation. The same exact playbook she'd used on me. But Maddie had the nerve to speak up. I didn't. She wasn't arrested. They said she resigned. The school hushed it up. Told the board it was a personnel matter. No announcement. No assembly. No apology. They just quietly replaced her by spring. I burned my sketchbook that summer. I haven't drawn since. People think abuse is loud. Obvious. That it looks like bruises or screaming or something cinematic. But the truth is, it can look like trust. Like praise. Like love. Sometimes, horror isn't what happens to you. It's what you let happen because someone made you feel seen. And sometimes, the scariest room in a school isn't a basement or a bathroom or a boiler room. It's the one where someone tells you you're special. And means it. There was a boy in our school no one ever talked to. Not out of cruelty. Not exactly. More like, he just slipped through. Like water down a drain. His name was Connor. Or Colin. Or maybe it was Carter. That's part of the horror. None of us remember his name. I was in 11th grade when he disappeared. The school made a half-hearted announcement over the PA. A student from our junior class has transferred schools due to family relocation. We wish him well. Except, no one could remember seeing him leave. No goodbye. No locker clean-out. Not even a social media post. It was like he'd been quietly deleted. But a few of us, me, Jen, Malik, we remembered just enough to know something was off. Because he wasn't a transfer. He was still there. Or at least, he had been. He always sat in the back of class, near the windows. He wore the same faded hoodie every day, chewed on the drawstring. His voice was soft, almost too soft to hear. Teachers ignored him. Students stepped around him in the halls. He was always there, just never part of anything. I remember watching him one day in the cafeteria. He had no tray, no lunch, just a notebook he never seemed to write in. He'd open it, flip through the pages, blank, all of them, and close it again. I only spoke to him once. It was raining, and he didn't have a ride, so I offered to share my umbrella. He looked at me like I'd handed him a lifeboat in open water. He said thank you. That's it. That's all I ever got. After his transfer, weird things started happening. His name was still on attendance sheets, but marked present. Teachers brushed it off, old copies of the roster. His artwork was still pinned to the bulletin board outside the art room. His locker remained shut tight. People said it was assigned to someone else now, but no one ever saw anyone use it. And then there were the dreams. I know how that sounds, but hear me out. A bunch of us started dreaming about school. Same halls, same classrooms, but empty. Filthy. Covered in graffiti that wasn't there in real life. And in every dream, we'd pass by a classroom with the door cracked open. Inside, that kid, sitting in the back, just watching us. Sometimes he was crying. Sometimes he was smiling. Once, I swear to God, he mouthed the words, "You forgot me." Jen found something buried deep in the school yearbook. A photo uncaptioned. One of those candid hallway shots. And there he was, blurry in the background, hood up, half turned away. The page was about student engagement. The irony hit hard. She took the yearbook to the guidance counselor, asked what his name was. The counselor looked confused. "That's not a student here." "But he is. Or he was." The counselor closed the book, said, "Let's not make up stories." That weekend, Malik broke into the admin office. I'm not proud of it, but we were desperate for answers. We found the student database. He wasn't in it. Not in attendance logs. Not in disciplinary records. No report cards. No enrollment paperwork. Nothing. Except, in an old manila folder at the bottom of a locked file cabinet, under discontinued records, we found a single sheet of paper. It had a name we didn't recognize. A black and white photo, stapled in the corner. Him. Date of birth, 2005. Date of withdrawal, blank. Reason, no response. No contact. No known guardian. At the bottom, scribbled in red ink. Untraceable. No further action. That's when we realized he didn't transfer. He was abandoned. Completely. He must have stopped coming to school. Maybe he ran away. Maybe something worse happened. But no one noticed. No one checked. And so the school just erased him. Filed him away like he was a broken printer or an outdated textbook. It's been years now. We've graduated. Moved on. Or tried to. But every now and then, I'll walk through a crowd and think I see him. Just at the edge. A hoodie. A notebook. A flash of something familiar. He was never a ghost. He was a kid. A real person. And we let him disappear. Because sometimes horror isn't what happens in the dark. It's what happens right in front of us. When we choose not to look.